Hey everybody, how's it going? Q3 review plus the Fed's decision leads you to the bullish crypto market in Q4. Right, crypto is for the inflation. Everyone expecting what is going on with interest rate hikes after the Powell's announcement. The following contents will be based on what is analysis and accountant's extension. And Victoria, thanks for being here and please walk through it with me. In a meeting yesterday, as we expected, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell opened a new phase in his campaign to regain control of inflation, saying even though the past may involve smaller hikes, but U.S. interest rates will go higher than earlier projected.
It will become appropriate to slow the pace of increases as we approach the level of interest rates that will be sufficiently restrictive to bring inflation down to our 2% goal. There is significant uncertainty around that level of interest rates. Even so, we still have some ways to go, and incoming data since our last meeting suggests that the ultimate level of interest rates will be higher than previously expected.
Wow. He added this policy won't be distorted or manipulated and hopefully gaining the understanding from the U.S. citizens for their own good, supporting that firmly ground. Unemployment at 3.5 is matching 5 decades lows. Job openings, but not that much. He caught the labor market out of balance and expressed disappointment at the persistence of a high inflation, despite some of the goods price has begun to decelerate. Right after the latest interest hikes on November the 8th middle-term U.S. congressional elections and amid rising criticism, Powell is convinced low inflation was better in the long term despite the current high cost. There's a lot of pressure on Powell to stop and pause and wait for the legs, but he's holding it tight. Earlier this move lifts the Fed's benchmark to less than 5%, but now we're heading to be over 5%, meaning 70 BP drops to 50, and it goes longer than February by June next year. Overnight, the stocks went to be a green hammer. BTC, ETH hold steadily while ETC went over 5%. Yes, a lot of 5% over here. The day after, the other bullish uptrending was formed. I guess it would be upwards but conflict to the rights. And the second day of the surging is when I recorded. Please update me what's new now and whenever you're watching this video. Your voice matters a lot to me. Apparently, the U.S. economy and the general confidence toward the crypto has shown remarkable resilience and resistance. On the other hand, you may state housing market, etc. crashed, and the inflation rate is stumbling stuck nearly 40 years high. But even this, just a side effect of the holding up the dollar value, isn't it? For the official Q3 crypto market review, the Bitwise 10 large cap crypto index rose 10%. Ethereum, for example, rose 31%, powered by the success of the merge for the 0.2% of the global power consumption, and over 99% carbon off footprint. In contrast, S&P 500 skittering down more than 5%. You may argue that the implosion of the Terra and the 3AC, which is the credit crisis in Q2. But that was the worst in 10 years. 10 large cap crypto index falling nearly 33%. With that framing, Q3 is recovering was the moodiest at its best. Zoom out. The developers' activity, the fundamental metrics of growing existing among the spreads, rose to 40%. Not end yet. 143% increase in crypto application deployments within the Ethereum in Q3, surging to unbelievably 14% right after the merger too. The rising US dollar was the dominant global force in Q3, crushed over other currencies. Viewed through this lens, Bitcoin held up remarkably well. What's more, from June-September 2022, it plunged to over 55%. But in 3 years frame, you get over certainly 135% profitability. Congrats! That's why you guys invest in the money of the bearish and lower cost in bull. I know your secret now. In my quote, the slowly tortured higher peak invest raising is like Lady Gaga's legging, but its main purpose is to steady up this dollar value, which is in other way beneficial to the crypto, since the value is held to USDT and you're investing in it. Certain policy does no damage is wishful thinking, but the positivity where to lead you and how will this drawback damage you based on the Q3 crypto review, at least is very close related. Do you agree with that? Now, let's be back to the profitability of the miners that you're interested in. Now people commenting on Ethereum blockchain miners getting obsolete, think ETH is not mineable but stakeable. And EDC and other coin within its ETH algorithm is standing up. You may compare them with ETH and EDC. It's true. But do you predict that Twitter will be acquired by Elon and is surging thousands of times and is valued now again? Do you regret that you wouldn't hold it earlier and sell it whenever that you want when it's very high? But why you don't consider EDC and the Ethereum algorithm, and is this the same way? Or do you swear on it right now and regret that you missed that chance again in the future? It's just an example and taking it as a joke. But when you check the profitability on the mining value website, everything you see is simply calculated in a stationary way. With the energy crisis and expensive fees, I do believe that scenario works. It's hard. But how about the people who doesn't have any electricity problems and they can figure that things out? But go back to the fact that 2 months ago, never return of investment within ETH algorithm to now 3 to 5 years. Wow, it's a modest recovery, right? And given that miner is relatively cheaper and the growth rate of this coin, it's not hard to be back that time in a month. But if it really happens, you got all the costs covered and start to be profiting. Indeed, BTC has this dazzling history, and witnessing KA3 mining KDA, Dogecoin, I see why. Because of its coverage for its stationary gains and boosting news. Personally, for sure, nobody knows the future, but I left some questions for you before your investment. First, do I have faith in coin like BTC, EDC? Why? 2. What's my risk tolerance? 3. Do I invest in long term or for quick money? 4. Do I hold this coin for 3 years and more? What's my profitability at least? Am I satisfied with that? Please DYOR, comments below, and what are mining, why you're mining, and what do you believe? Now you know who I am. If you're interested in mining or trading, please let me know. Here is my personal social media account along with my email. Plus, anything related to miners, profitability, or even trading coins or stocks, do not hesitate to find me there or anywhere. I like to have more friends, and again, here is an options for contacting me. Last but not the least, make sure you subscribe and smash the like thing any way that you love. Feel free to share the link to anybody who is interested. Crypto world is so far not so occupied by a large population. I'm glad you're here with me sharing the same interest. Now, you won't miss out any information because you subscribe us. And in the future, I'm at your service and listening to your suggestions. Comments below and see you around.